What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and this is kind of a match preview. It's more of a sort of a deep dive. Look, I don't know what to expect in tomorrow's game. Late kickoff. Well, I mean, it's early morning for me. It's late kickoff for a lot of people, but fundamentally, I'm disappointed that some of the players that we needed aren't in situ, aren't going to be playing. A centre midfielder, right winger. This is the perfect preparation for them. Now, do not get me wrong. I want to see Barry getting some minutes. I want to see us start to take on Premier League teams. This is a good opportunity. The one thing I would say about pre-season tours against Premier League teams is these are your opponents from day one in the league, and this is your opportunity to see if you're up to their level, up to speed to the game. And I think having a full squad would have been beneficial. But we haven't, so we've got to live with that and we've got to deal with it as best we can. And I want Everton to go into the game better than we have been in the pre-season games that we had to pay for, which were poor games. There's no beating around the bush. They were poor performances, but they were a team that's tired. They were a team that need to get set up for this season. And you almost, for the first two games, I can almost allow it as just a fitness process. But this is where the season gets warm now. This is where the season gets going. There's 3 games in America. There's a Roma game, and then we're into the season. And we need to kickstart. So, look, I'm not going to give teams, Bournemouth, Everton, I'm not going to give, what do I expect? I expect Jordan Pickford to play, get some minutes. Obviously, Jared Branthwaite hasn't travelled with the squad. That's not going to help. That's not going to help. That's your £80 million centre half, the man that you sort of hang your hat on, out for 3 games or out for 2 games or however long he's going to not be there. So that's also disappointing. But, again, we are where we are. What we need to make sure we're doing is we utilise what we've got to the best. I want to see Harrison Armstrong getting some minutes. Some of the younger players, if they're going to play, they need to play. There's no point taking them and them just sit on the bench when they can get a loan move. We've just seen that Metcalf has left the club. So we've got to make sure that we're using this to the absolute full that we can. And it's good exposure for the club as well from a marketing perspective. Let's just briefly talk about the club, though, because news broke today that they've got a new strategy around ticketing. And it fundamentally means a ballot system. I'm disgusted with the way that this has, 1, been communicated. 2, it appears the fan groups have had no impact, no involvement, no discussion points. And the other thing that I think really disappoints me, and I actually think Everton fans, if they wanted to cause a real fuss about it, could. But I actually think they've been completely missold a membership that was a 100% price increase. I think it's an absolute disgrace. And I think the club needs to answer some questions. I appreciate that the Friedkins are not going to come in and get everything right straight away. And I actually don't have an issue with that because fundamentally that happens. These guys are business-led people. But I am concerned that some of the decisions they've made very early on around this process, around some of the decisions that they've done around the football games that you've been charged. I have concerns around these premium seats. I have concerns around how they're treating, normal match day going fans. And these guys have been in the club a few weeks, months. So, yeah, I've got major concerns around that. The communication today around this process was a disgrace. And I will call it out as I see it. I thought it was an absolute disgrace. I think this ballot system, if I understand it correctly, there's lots of loyal fans that built up lots of credits and that has basically been diminished. This £60 membership fee, I think people should be entitled to a refund or at least a partial refund, a decent refund, because fundamentally what they've paid for, I don't think they're getting. And I don't understand it. I'm in the fortunate spot. I've got 3 season tickets. But there is a lot of people out there that were on this waiting list, were hoping they would get a season ticket, I think by all accounts, only 2,000, maybe 3,000 come off that season ticket waiting list. And the rest of those seats have been sold for corporate hospitality and whatever in a stadium that was too small in the first place, albeit that's probably not the Freakins' fault. I think they need to come out and answer some questions. And I don't think it would do them any harm in doing that. I'm not sitting here absolutely grilling them, but Everton Football Club at this moment in time have signed 2 players, one of which we had last season. But okay, it's 3 with Travers and Barry. But fundamentals are this team, I don't think has progressed. I think behind the scenes, everything's been put in place to make it work, and I like that. But again, these things take time. And I also think that the big concern that I have around it's this communication piece. There is none with match-going fans. And the more that doesn't happen, the more distant a people, community, a fan-focused club is going to become this business-focused enterprise. And it's we've wanted Everton to be better business perspective, better streamlined, better organised, and all of those things. But I didn't want it to detrimental of the fans. And these fans today are match-going fans, and it 100% has hit them. And yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed. So look, I don't really have anything else to add. We've not really been linked with players. And the links that we have, Tyler Diblin from Southampton, we're not going to go and spend £40 million on him. I just don't believe Everton are going to be doing that. And I get that impression because, the rumours around Douglas Luiz have dropped. Rumours around signing right backs and left backs have dropped. So I just don't see us going out and spending significant amounts of money almost on anyone, to be honest. And that's again a huge concern. But we've almost got to trust this process. I feel like an Arsenal fan now, but you've almost got to trust the process and trust what's being put in place. But yeah, I'm hugely disappointed by the news today. And I actually think us as fans have to actually say to the club that that's wrong. And I know the fans for them have already issued a statement. The club have absolutely no relationship with me whatsoever, or John, and they never have on the Blue Boys Network. So there is very little we can do, but we'll send in an open letter as well and just say that we think it's a disgrace as well. But fundamentally, they'll get that letter, an email, and they'll just rip it up and then won't be bothered. So yeah, we are where we are. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. We are still sponsored by Flyers, so make sure you get over to Flyers Indoor Golf. Make sure you go and enter the competition from their Instagram. Make sure you go on the website, book yourself into some golf games, and I'll see you for that first game against Roma. Peace.